All right. Give it a moment here as attendees start filing in. Okay. All right. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Keith Spencer, and I'm one of our career experts here at FlexJobs. And FlexJobs, for those of you who don't know, has been the most trusted and leading site for remote job listings since 2007. We are thrilled to have as our guest today Lynne Williams of Great Careers Network to discuss harnessing AI for smarter job searches. Before we dive into Lynne's presentation, though, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. This will be a 90-minute webinar with a presentation from Lynne, followed by an audience Q&A. This webinar is being recorded, and then the recording will be emailed out to everyone later this week. If you have a question for Lynne, please make sure to type that in the Q&A section, not the chat section, and use the thumbs up button to vote up any other questions that you would like to hear Lynne answer. Chances are good that we won't be able to get to everyone's question today, but we are still confident that you'll learn something helpful. So with all of that out of the way, I would now like to turn things over to Lynne. Welcome, Lynne, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I'm delighted to be here. We're going to chat about harnessing AI for smarter job searches. Now, I'm going to present a whole bunch of information, and part of it's going to be a little bit rapid fire. I just want to show you the extent of the things that you can do with AI, but I'm going to bring it down to manageable bites. So you've probably heard the expression, how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Well, we're only going to eat a few bites of the elephant, and that's going to be the hands-on, actionable items that you're going to take away at the end. So let me overwhelm you first with what you can do in your job search with AI. Now, I like to give credit where credit is due. So I have added some people's names to some of the slides because I learned this information from them. So the first thing I want to do is start out with a quote. It's from economist Richard Baldwin. AI won't take your job. It's somebody using AI that will take your job. So my recommendation is that if you actually start using AI in your job search, touch and feel, and have that hands-on, you're going to be a step ahead of those people who do not. Okay. That way you can learn how to use AI actively and effectively and share your personal experiences in the interview when asked. Okay. So don't be a technological dinosaur. If you haven't touched AI, it is time to get on the bandwagon. Now, here's some ChatGPT terms that you need to know. I'm not going to read the definitions, but we have ChatGPT, OpenAI, LLM, meaning the large language model. You got prompts and prompt engineering. Okay. Have I taken some AI classes? Yes, free ones and paid ones. I am not by any means what I consider a prompt engineer. I just speak to it like I would type into Google. I ask it a question, keep it simple, right? And if I'm not getting the answer I need, then I'll ask it another question. I'll add further information to clarify what it is that I'm looking for. So there is a gentleman by the name of Aaron Poietti, who is in my area in the suburbs of Philadelphia, that I got this information from, as well as several other slides. Now, tips and tricks. Use natural language. That means just speak to it like you would ask it a question. What are you going to type in Google? Be very clear, specific, experiment, refine, get that clarification going and add more detail in your question or your qualifications when you're popping it in there. If you need, urgency of something, you got to appeal to Chat GPT's emotions, so to speak. Sometimes you may need to shorten things by 10%, by 25%, something like that to make it more concise. Chain prompting is when you break down the prompt into smaller tasks. But here's the cool thing. Why not ask ChatGPT to write the prompts for you? Now, when you are prompting, you got to think about, well, what action do you want it to take? What role do you want it to have? What format do you want it to come out in? And what's the tone? So, if you by chance have a difficult situation with a conflict resolution, you could pop the information in there and say, how can I be more diplomatic and tactful in my response? Okay. So that's one way of doing things. Another thing might be, how do I make this more memorable and add humor? Right. So that would be the different tones that you can take. So each situation is going to be different. So, follow actions, roles, formats, and tones as it works for you and each particular situation. Now, when you have prompts, there's a format from the most important to the least important. So, first is the objective. What do you want it to do? Okay, action, role, context, format, tone, time frame, audience, restrictions, etc. So again, you can get really into the weeds with ChatGPT or other AI, Claude.ai, Perplexity.ai, and so many other platforms that are out there available. But again, I just want to, tell you what's out there, paint the big picture, but let's keep it simple. Now, you don't need a copy of each and every one of these slides. I promise you. Okay. All you have to do is to go into ChatGPT and say, what are all the use cases for job seekers where I can use AI? So I'm going to say that I'm kind of a little famous for my alphabetical listicles. So here, excuse me, is my A to C listicle. And I'm going to just fly through a whole bunch of slides again to show you like the depth and breadth of like there's so many things that you can do, but you don't need all this. You really don't. So here we go. I'm going to fly through a bunch of slides here. So here's the C to the F's. Here is the G's to the K's. There's the L's to the P's. There's the P's to the R's. The S to the T's. And the V's to the W's. And you know what? That list is probably more expansive than what I just showed you. But again, just focus on your needs, not the whole wild west of AI that is out there in the world. It is behemoth. Now, here's some example prompts. Go ahead and ask ChatGPT. Please provide me with a prompt where I can highlight accomplishments. Please provide me with a prompt for an AI powered career coaching or application tracking, etc. So here I am, more alphabetical listicles. And again, this is not all comprehensive, but it gives you a bunch of ideas. But use your own brain and your own thought leadership and your own questions to make it relevant to what it is that you need for your purpose. So B to C, more C's, C to D, cover letter generation. That's a good one. Email drafting. That's good. Employment trend forecasting, freelance opportunities, gig economy exploration, industry trend analysis, interview coaching, job alert customization, job descriptions, keyword optimization. See, this list just goes on and on. On and on. Resume formatting. Oh, I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth on that. But salary benchmarking, salary negotiation coaching, skill gap analysis. Yeah, those are all good ones. Video interview preparation, work sample analysis. Now, there are so many AI tools out there for job seekers. It's pretty crazy how much there is and how many things keep popping up every single day. But again, you don't need all this. It is overwhelming. So don't get overwhelmed. Application tracking, ATS optimization, automated job matching. I can't sit here and say that I am a fangirl of a bot applying to jobs for me. I want to be able to control my destiny. I want to check the spelling. I want to check the content. I want to know who it's going out to. Now, maybe some folks have had success with this, but maybe you also heard that up to 80% of jobs, excuse me, are found via networking. So I am more a fangirl of the human to human interaction than I am of having a bot apply to jobs for me. It's people that hire people, not bots. So keep that in mind. But there's the last slide had behavioral interview practice. There's good stuff that you can get out of AI prompts for helping you with your star stories, with your behavioral interview questions, cover letter generation. I have a comment about that. So everybody and their brothers using AI for cover letter generation. And from what I've had conversations with from recruiters, is that they all sound the same. So if you don't differentiate yourself and distinguish yourself from everybody else with your cover letter, you're just going to blend into the crowd. Yes, I know it's nice to be able to submit a customized cover letter, but I would come up with a different format and use the fodder, the ideas, the content from AI to weave into your own format. So at least you distinguish and differentiate yourself from others. Now, I did write an article, which I will share with you. I'll show you where to find it, on AI resources for interview tools. The article that I wrote came from 2 presentations I did on behavioral interview questions and star stories. And so it's readily available and accessible on the internet with all the links. So it's a pretty comprehensive article. I think it was like a 13-minute read, but it's actually probably more than that because you got to really absorb all the content. But I will be giving you the link to the article to access all these interview AI resources. And here's even more. All right. Now, other AI tools for job seekers after the interview: job description analysis, job search research assistant, LinkedIn profile enhancement. Oh, yeah, I have my feelings about that, which I will share at the end when I do a hands-on demo. Resume formatting. Yeah, I'll share more about my feelings on that in a hands-on demo. So let's just take a look at a particular example for marketing. Now, I'm going to click on this link just to show you what somebody's resume looked like when it came to me, then what it looked like when I ran it through ChatGPT, and then what it sort of looked like um, when I actually produced it. So, as a resume writer and LinkedIn profile writer focusing on career on keywords, um, if you were to ask me, Lynn, are you worried about your self employment and your job? And I'm going to say no, I am not, because ChatGPT or any AI cannot do what I do with the end result. So I will stick to my guns, and I use AI to help with the process and teach clients, but I am not worried that it's going to take over my job, because you're gonna about to see what the end result looks like. But what I'd like you to think about is this one prompt. I'm going to provide you with one bullet point from a resume. Please rewrite it to include a metric that might be a number, percent, or dollar amount. Do you understand? So if you put one bullet point at a time from your resume, if you do not have any dollars, numbers, or percents in your bullet points, I'm going to tell you that this is too tough of a job market right now, and you need to show how you've helped a company make money, save time, improve processes. How many people did you work with on a team? How many people did you supervise? What was your impact? How'd you move mountains? If you're a nonprofit, how much did you help fundraise? How many sponsors did you get? Um, how many events did you run? Okay. We need a metric in every single bullet point. So this will help you get there. So now I'm going to click on this example. The person that gave me this resume, you can see there's two columns here. There's a bunch of shading, and this is not an applicant tracking system friendly resume. Here's the page 2. Now, when I ran this resume through ChatGPT, here it is. Do you like the looks of this? That's why I am not worried about ChatGPT stealing my job. Okay. So maybe it gives me, the bullet points and whatnot, but it sure does not look pretty. Not in any way, shape, or form. So here, this is my rewrite. I believe in having a little pop of color for the human resume, and then deconstruct it for the bots, for the applicant tracking system resume. So we get people focused on what you want to be when you grow up, a very short and sweet paragraph that is a big picture you, core competencies, which I put in column format in alphabetical order because it's easy to flip out. This job title, it's easy to flip out the keywords, to tailor each and every resume to a job description. If you have a good, solid base resume, you have tech skills, you can put them in categories. Professional experience, I bold the metrics. Okay, ChatGPT is not going to necessarily do that for you. So any number from 0 to 9, I actually type the word and then I put the numerical value in parentheses. And so it stands, stands out. So every single bullet point has a metric in it. Now, see this one word email? Okay, I sometimes put specific things in a resume example to tell you what not to do. Okay. So I think I cut off the words in there so that would just be one word on a second line. Don't do that. That is a grammatical faux pas. It is known as a hanging widow or hanging orphan. So you should never ever have one word on the second line. Now, here's another example. You see how you've got two lines plus the third line as Webby Awards. I will never ever have a bullet point, unless there's absolutely no way around it, to be more than 2 lines. It needs to be short and sweet and concise. But metrics go down all the way to the beginning of time. Now, you can see the way that the dates are formatted. Usually on a pretty resume, I use 2-character month and 2-character year. And I put a space, dash space in between, and I make sure that I have an N dash, ENDASH, not an M dash, EMDASH, which is the longer dash. I just think it looks nicer. I can control it. But on an applicant tracking system resume, those 2-character years may need to be turned into 4-character years. But I think on a pretty resume for humans, when you have it all lined up on like the 6 or 6.5 ruler mark, it just looks so much better visually. Going back down, if you have past experience that may not be relevant to the job you're going to apply to, you can have one-liners, okay, that have the information on it, but you can have all the details with your accomplishments and achievements with the metrics on your LinkedIn profile. And then education, I like all 1-lines, awards and honors, all 1-lines. If this person had professional development, yeah, that can be on the pretty resume, but maybe not so much on the ATS resume. If they had professional organizations, yes, that could be on the pretty resume, but maybe not so much on the deconstructed resume for the bots. So here we go from something that is probably not readable by the applicant tracking system to something that is absolutely positively not pretty, put out by ChatGPT, to something that is definitely more visually appealing to a human being. Okay, next thing is you want to use ChatGPT or equivalent to get keywords from the job description. So here's a prompt that I use. Create an alphabetical bullet-pointed list of keywords and key qualifications for this job, and capitalize the first letter of each word. Keywords are typically no longer than 3 words. Now, an example that might stray from that 3 words would be cross-functional team leadership. I'm going to treat cross-functional as 1 word, even though it's a hyphenated word. And I can tell you, I don't share all my secret sauce, but this is only one prong, one methodology that I would use to find keywords for a particular job description. I use a multi-prong approach, and I prove day in, day out to clients using a whole bunch of color-coded scenarios, in that if you use just ChatGPT, you'd have this list. But if you use this approach, and this approach, you're going to have a way more comprehensive list of keywords. But if you're in a pinch for time, and you want to at least customize your resume to a job description, this is a quick down and dirty way with this prompt to get a list of keywords. So I'm going to do a demo now. We're going to go to LinkedIn, and we're going to go to the Jobs tab. Now, you might have noticed something slightly different with LinkedIn recently. They have a new beta test mode going on. And so there might only be one box up here now. And what they're doing is they're trying to make it easy for job seekers to put in just natural language to find a job. But I can tell you that um, it is in beta mode, so it's not super duper accurate. Um, so over on the right, and mine has already been transferred over, but over on the right-hand side, you might see a little drop-down arrow where it says, beta mode, and then it says classic mode. So this is considered classic mode when you have the open search bar here to put in title, skill, or company, and then you can tap in or tab over and get your major metropolitan area. You don't want your city. Like if you live in New York City, you don't want that. You want New York metro area. If you have Philadelphia, you don't want Philadelphia, you want greater Philadelphia area. If you have San Francisco, I think it's San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area or something like that. So you always want to choose your major metropolitan area. So what we're going to excuse me, do is I'm going to put in project manager, and I'm just going to use greater Philadelphia because that's where I live. And you can see there's 2,167 results in the dark blue. Now, if I were to change this to project management, there's now 2,876 results. So that is why my focus is on keywords and synonyms thereof. So just for giggles, we're going to take one example here, and I'll just do this City of Philadelphia Business Engagement Team Manager. So when I click on the right-hand side, it says show more. So if I go back to this prompt, I'm going to pop it into ChatGPT. All right, and put a space. And then I'm going to take this job description. Now, when I go down to the bottom of the job description, it talks about the benefits, salary. I don't need any of that. That has absolutely nothing to do with the job description. So I only want the qualifications, the essential functions, etc. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go after ChatGPT and paste. Okay. And now I've got this whole job description in here. Just going to hit the little button and here we go. So here's an alphabetical bullet pointed list of keywords and key qualifications based on the job description, with each entry capitalized and limited to no more than 3 words. I told it exactly what I wanted, and bada bing, bada boom, in seconds, I have got a list. But again, if you use just this one approach, you will not get a full list of keywords. So I'm working on writing my doctoral dissertation on the topic of LinkedIn for job seekers. So as a doctoral student, there's something that I have to do called triangulated research. Tri meaning 3. I have to get research from 3 sources to make it valid and reliable. So that's why I say I use a multi-prong approach to keywords. This is only one prong, and I get this more comprehensive list when I use other ways of doing things. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is I want to talk about headlines on LinkedIn and how I might use ChatGPT to help me with that. So I have a step-by-step guide. Here's one for job seekers or an employed professional. Here's one for an entrepreneur example. And I do have an article, again, which I will share with you. I'll show you where to find all the articles. But remember, I just looked up project manager and project management. Well, you know the reliability of Google, right? So I also want to show you how to look that up on Google Trends. So trends.google.com. We're going to type in project manager, and then we want to compare it to project management. So Google is going to give us a line chart and a bar chart. But here, this is United States in the past day. I don't want that. I'm going to click on this little down arrow, and I'm going to type in Philadelphia. I could get the Delaware side as in Wilmington. I could get the Cherry Hill side as in New Jersey, or I could get the Philadelphia side. And I don't want past day because you can see that's a pretty funky looking line chart. Let's do the last 90 days. So if I do this, I can see project management is being searched more on Google than project manager. So this is not AI, this is just Google, but I want to at least, show you this so you can sit here and say, oh, okay, kind of looks like it aligns with what's going on LinkedIn when I look at the number of jobs that are available in my particular area. So project management for the win over project manager. Now, if I decide I want San Francisco, here's San Francisco, Oakland, it's going to be slightly different, right? If I decide I want Dallas, Fort Worth, it's going to be slightly different. But still, for these three examples of these large metro areas, project management is still getting more hits than project manager. So when you are looking up job titles, not all your keywords, but your job titles, I would find out what the synonyms are, like program manager, program management, product manager, product management, etc., to get a handle on what's happening on Google Trends as well as what's happening in LinkedIn. And typically it will mirror it, but at least that gives you peace of mind that you're on the right track. So in the beginning of your LinkedIn profile, I think the first word should be the one that has the biggest hits on it. It would not be project manager, it would be project management. Then add on, 3, 4, whatever other keywords that you really want to be known by. And then how do you differentiate and distinguish yourself and be that purple squirrel that's different from other project management people? So that's where we're now going to use ChatGPT, and we're going to come up with a prompt for something called a USP, unique selling proposition. Sometimes people call it a PBS, personal branding statement, or VSP, VPS, value proposition statement. I don't know what it is. I like the word unique. Okay, so I go with typically unique selling proposition. So let's see if I can. I don't know that I can. I can't get you the links quite yet, but when I get off sharing my screen, I will get the links for these particular articles so that you have them in the chat to reference. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, create, oh, actually, I'm going to start a new chat GPT. So I'm going to hit the pen and create a unique selling proposition, and I'll put USP in parentheses for a project management professional who is in the utilities industry, and make it less than 12 words. Okay, so we're going to see what we get. I'm going to hit the little arrow button. Powering projects with precision, on budget, on time, no outages. Now, if I click on this little down arrow, I could click on try again. Powering utility projects with precision, efficiency, and zero missed deadlines. I don't like that one as much as the first one, but let's try it again. Powering progress through precision project management in the utility sector. Again, kind of boring. So now I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me something a little bit more juicy here. So take the first prompt or come up with a new prompt and add humor to the USP to make me more memorable in my LinkedIn headline. Okay, we'll make that a capital I for in. All right, let's see what it comes up with. I'm going to say provide a few examples. So I want not one at a time. I want it to give me a few. So I'm going to push the button and let's see what happens. Funny and memorable USP. Keeping utilities on track, even when the coffee runs out. Herding projects and power lines like a pro. Shockingly good at managing utility chaos. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Project plans so bright they power the grid. Utility projects manage with less drama than your group chat. Can't say I like number 5, but some of these other ones, you know, you don't have to take exactly what ChatGPT gives you. So you can tweak and modify and use your own thought leadership. But, why not take this fodder, that took you seconds to do to get a unique, idea that's going to differentiate you from other project managers in the utility industry. Okay, going on to the slideshow again. So, here's step 2. Okay, so here's project management. And in this case, I didn't do utility, but project management is the word that I would put first in the LinkedIn headline. And what else do you want people to know about you? Leadership, strategic planning, stakeholder management, risk assessment. Okay, we have 220 characters in the LinkedIn headline. But by doing it this way, you are controlling your content. You're not saying, hey, ChatGPT, write me a LinkedIn headline, right? You are controlling what words are the most important to you. And again, because you want that title that has the biggest hits, followed by other keywords, I always put the USP at the end. Now, one thing that I do is I use a Emojipedia.org. Oops, it's got me going on the nerd face here. So emojipedia.org is where I get my emojis from. And I might put one or two in the LinkedIn headline. I wouldn't put any more than that, and I would put them more towards the end. It's more the keywords and key title that are more important at the get-go, especially if you're a job seeker. If you're an entrepreneur, you can do whatever the heck you want. But as a job seeker, I would focus on key title, keywords, and then the USP. So now let's go to power. I'm going to type power in, and look, it's got low battery, electric plug, battery, light bulb. So, you might be able to find something as the project manager in the utility industry that is appealing to you. So let's say I did the electric plug. I'm going to click copy, and then I can paste it. I can paste it anywhere online, So it's really as simple as that. But I love emojipedia.org. I'll do one more example. Computer. So I have a choice of a desktop computer, a laptop, or computer mouse. I might choose the laptop. I click the blue copy button and paste. Okay, now we're going to go to step 3. So this is the prompt I already put in there, right? So you want your unique selling proposition, and you can always ask it to try again. So in this case, I did write a unique selling proposition of less than 15 words for a LinkedIn headline to follow these words: project management, leadership, strategic planning, stakeholder management, risk assessment. Use the words agile methodologies and team leadership when you write the USP. So in the first instance that I said just for utility, I didn't give it other keywords that I wanted to add. But if you have some keywords that are important to you, you can ask ChatGPT to weave those in to your USP, your unique selling proposition. So here are some examples. Driving success with agile methodologies, team leadership, and strategic planning for seamless project execution, right? These are a little bit more boring and conservative, but it depends on, you want the fun factor in your LinkedIn profile or not. Here's an entrepreneur example. And again, this is all in the articles where I'll show you where to find them. So my final selections are this: project management, leadership, strategic planning, stakeholder management, risk management, driving success using agile methodologies and team collaboration for magical, seamless project execution. Well, some of you on here today may know me and know that I am a Disney nerd. So magical is definitely a word I use a lot. And there's that little magic wand, right? So if you go to my about section on my LinkedIn, you will see #Disney nerd. So that would be me. And then here's the entrepreneur example. You've again got up to 220 characters to build in your LinkedIn profile. Headline doesn't mean you have to use all 220, but if you do add emojis, I would not add more than 1 or 2. It just becomes a little bit too much. Now, how do you become memorable? There's a guy by the name of Steve Woodruff, and he used to have a website, but he took it down. But he is an author, and he wrote some books. You'll find him on LinkedIn, Woodruff. He came up with this concept called memory dart, and I love that concept. So I consider a memory dart a vivid image. So how can you differentiate yourself and have that stickiness factor so people remember who you are and what you do? So if you have a vivid image or a memory dart somewhere in your LinkedIn headline, and you could also build that in the banner, then hopefully you'll become more memorable, and not just the more conservative project manager, but something a little bit more spicy, so to speak. Now, I used to, I had a client who she did three things. She had three businesses. And I guess I like using food as an example. So in this one lady, um, she had a trifecta of solutions, and it was better than a triple dip ice cream. Okay. So if that made you smile or giggle or laugh, that's the idea. That made an impression on you. That means it was memorable, right? Now here's a friend of mine who builds websites and does graphic design. His name is Tom Noble. His business is called Pig Art Graphics. And I did not do his LinkedIn profile or anything like that, but I might have had something to do with his headline. And we came up with huff and puff and blow that old website down to make your brand oink. So he's got the little piggy snouts as his emojis, and it definitely aligns with his business name. Who puts oink in LinkedIn headlines? Well, people that want to be memorable and make an impression. There's another lady that I ran across. I can't remember the spelling of her name. She came from an Eastern Bloc country, but she's local into my area in Greater Philadelphia. She was an integrated digital marketing professional, and that's all the title that she had in her headline. And I thought, when I read her about section in her experience, she's telling me she gets lots of engagement and conversions. So, how do we make her memorable? And she was not a client or anything like that. She doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, but I just used her as an example when I wrote my article. So, you have integrated digital marketing professional, SEM, SEO, web development, graphic design, whatever other keywords she had. Conversions and engagement better than hot, buttery popcorn at the movies, right? So, again, if that made you smile, if it's memorable, made an impression, that is what we are going for. Now, I went into ChatGPT and said, rewrite my LinkedIn headline and summary to make it more engaging and keyword rich for career services industry. Okay. So I had ATS resumes, LinkedIn branding, pivots, reinventions, keyword strategies to beat the bots. There's my memory dart, vivid image, data driven decision making, strategic job search tactics, career education, teacherpreneur. What it came up with, I did not like. So do not think for 1 minute that you have to use what ChatGPT or AI gives you in order to help you build your brand. Use your own brain and analyze your key titles and keywords and put in what resonates with you. Now, I'm a former K-12 teacher. I have 9 Pennsylvania Department of Education K-12 certifications. And over a decade ago, I left K-12. And when I was a job seeker, I absolutely positively fell in love with the career services industry. I loved all this career education. So that's why after I took a 4-year W-2 job, I decided to jump off the proverbial entrepreneurial cliff. And so now I guess I call myself a teacherpreneur. So it's teaching career education. I did teach career education to high school students, and now here I am teaching adults. So again, just use your own brain and thought leadership in what resonates with you. Ask ChatGPT or other AI to give you some ideas, but you do not have to use them. Now, I want to talk about the LinkedIn About section. Again, I put a prompt in to ChatGPT and said, please rewrite my About section. I did not like it. It did not say what I wanted it to say. It did not resonate with me. It was not authentically me. So I want to control my About section. If you have paragraphs of text in the About section and I go to your profile, I promise you, I'm not going to read it. I have a mental block against it. My eyes will glaze over. I don't want to read your story in your About section. You want to write an article, you want to write a post, okay, you got me. I will read something longer. But if you have dense paragraphs of black text on a white background, it does not excite me or interest me in any way, shape, or form. I'm a boomer and I deal with a lot of boomers, but I deal with people with all ages. But I want people to show that they're not technological dinosaurs and know how to use emojis, put pops of color, and have that fun factor in their About section. How do you write concisely in kind of bullet pointy fashion where you can tell your story and who you are in a skimmable and scannable format? So as a former K-12 teacher, I did teach people, students, how to skim and scan text so they could get ready to review their chapters in their books for their midterms and their finals, etc., for either high school courses or get ready for college. So I'm going to take that as a transferable concept to the LinkedIn About section. So this is my About section. Continues on. I like putting my little fun facts in there. And then a short list of core competencies and my contact information. So again, when I asked ChatGPT, rewrite my LinkedIn About section to make it more engaging and keyword rich for the career services industry, I got garbage. Okay, garbage in, garbage out. I don't want that. I'm going to control my own destiny. You can try it for yourself and see what it comes up with. So let me see if I can get some articles going in here. I'm going to go, this is my nonprofit website, greatcareers.org. And I just want to show you where you can find the articles with these step-by-step instructions for what I showed you today. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type in the word headline. All right, and here's how to craft a standout LinkedIn headline step-by-step. There's, links in here. There's the job seeker, the entrepreneur, there's the unique selling proposition. So lots of things built in. So if I copy this and I got to see, how do I, let's see, chat. Okay, let me see if I can pop this in the chat. So there's that article. The next one I want to talk about is the About section. And I've written several About section, but this is my most recent one. Is your LinkedIn About section easy to skim and scan or a wall of text? Okay, so you need a compelling introduction. I use capital letters to break down the sections, because you don't want to use something called Unicode, where you make bold, italics, or underlined text in your profile. These fancy fonts are a security risk. There's malware involved. I would not do that in any way, shape, or form to your LinkedIn profile. If you want to use Unicode in a post or something like that, totally different story. But I do like people putting in icebreakers. And again, here's my alphabetical listicles. If you put the emojis in, what happens is if somebody goes to your LinkedIn profile and let's say they see soccer, oh, do you like to play soccer or do you like to watch soccer? If you like to watch soccer, who's your favorite team? So it's a way of sharing a little bit of a personal information about yourself and personal interests on your LinkedIn profile, so it's not quite so stuffy and business-like and conservative like a resume needs to be. And it allows people to that go to your profile, you can tell that they've actually gone to your profile and read it or skimmed and scanned it, because they might mention one of these personal icebreakers. And LinkedIn is not all about jamming your business card down people's throats, right? It's about building relationships. So when you connect with people, you can go back and forth in DMs. But here is this article that I'll pop in the chat. All right, then I'm going to go to USP, which is the difference between a unique selling proposition, personal branding statement, or value proposition statement. So I'll copy that for you and pop that in the chat. Now, dimes to donuts, there is somebody on this call who has not built a custom banner on their LinkedIn profile. So I would like to give you some step-by-step instructions on how to build that banner. Now, what could you put in your banner? You could put in your name, your credentials, PMP, MD, DO, MBA, whatever you got, or you don't have to put that in. You could just put in your USP, your unique selling proposition. You can get a Canva account absolutely for free. And then create something. Now, just know that when you let me go into Canva. When you go into Canva, over here on the left, you're going to see templates. And then at the top, you're going to type in LinkedIn banner. And you're going to see over 20,000 templates. Now, see these ones with the little crowns on them? Okay, so those are for the pro account. If you see something like this one that doesn't have a crown on it, then that is free for you to access. And a lot of the times you can change the colors, and you want the colors to kind of coordinate what it is that you are wearing, so that the banner color and your clothing does not clash. So other things that might be helpful, let me go back to the deck. And see if there's some other article that I wanted to put in there. Prompts. Oh, yes, the AI, the resources for interviews. So here again on the Great Careers website, under the resources tab, there's a bunch of interview resources. This right here with AI is that very comprehensive article that I wrote where I did presentations on star stories and behavioral interviews. And there's a list of, I think, about 49 soft skills that you could be asked to answer questions on at an interview. So, in my humble opinion, you want to have 7 to 10 star stories prepared for your interview. So maybe something like conflict resolution, leadership skills, problem solving, communication skills, team leadership, that type of thing. So whatever question you're asked, you've got this little star story, situation, task, action, result, that has metrics in it of how you um, made impact, and resolve the problem. Maybe, you were um, working for an electric company and you were able to problem solve with your team members, bringing back 97% of the electric grid within, X number of hours so that people were not left without power, etc. So it's always good to have those accomplishment stories. Now, I'm going to show you down here, we also have 3 little videos that you may want to watch. And in some of these articles that are above here, there are some video recording prompts where it will ask you a question, you answer it, and then you can go back and watch the video of how you answered the question so that you have that practice down pat before your interview. So let me go to this article, right? And you can see it's pretty comprehensive article. And there's star stories, and here's this list of um, soft skills. Again, alphabetical listicle. Here I go again. And examples of behavioral interview questions on a variety of topics. Sometimes when you go to an interview, there are people that have rubrics, meaning that there might be a panel of 6 people and everybody's going to score your answer a certain way on the rubric. Now, at the end of the interview, asked if you have questions. You absolutely positively must have questions. So here's a bunch of ideas. Now, here's interview resources, and here's a whole bunch of AI resources and interview tools. So check some of these out because they're really, really good. Like Mr. Simon is pretty cool. And then Goodwill, Delaware got a grant from Google. And if you sign up on their platform, they have a video interview platform also. I have not tried all of these, but you can tell there's so much out there. You can get absolutely overwhelmed with what's going on with AI. So use it judiciously, use it for your purposes, and don't go nuts with all the different use cases that I presented today because it will drive you nuts. So going back to this job description, okay, and we went into ChatGPT. I may have to recopy this again. Okay, let's go down to the qualifications. Copy, and we're going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to click a new chat and just say, create a cover letter for this job description. And if I put the job description in there, what it's going to do is everybody and their brother is going to be doing the same thing. Okay? You don't want to do this. Please don't do this. Use your own brain and your own thought leadership. Now, you can get some ideas from this, but let's go to Google. google.com, and let's type in, oh, wait a minute. I don't want the products. Hold up. Oh, it did it again. Search Google. Okay, there we go. All right. So here we are in Google. What I'd like you to do is look up a T style cover letter. So I'm just going to pull up an image. This is random. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. I'll pull up this one. This is called, they call it a T square. I just call it T style. But the idea is you have a cover letter and you have a table. And in the table, you have the left side and you have the right side. On the left side, you want to put in what the company is looking for. And then on the right side, how you match. So if you can take the fodder from the cover letter that you get from ChatGPT and you do careful reading of the job description and pull out key phrases, you could come up with, 4, 5, 6 bullet points for the left side. And then on the right side, 4, 5, 6 bullet points of how you match what they want in the job description. So at least this is a slightly different presentation than what other people are coming up with when they're doing a cover letter. So since I have the job description, let me get out of Emojipedia. Let me get out of that. Let me get out of Google Trends. Okay, so now you can type in create a list of, I gotta spell that right. Create a list of interview questions I should be prepared to answer as a job seeker. And if you happen to be in HR, you can just reverse that. As an HR professional, what questions should I ask? So here, our categorized list. Here's general questions, behavioral questions, use the STAR method, results-oriented questions, role-specific. So use AI to your advantage. I mean, lickety split, quick, you've got this whole list of questions. Now, write 4 different versions of a thank you letter that I can use for my panel interview for this job. Let's see what it comes up with. So if you're going to write some sort of a thank you follow-up, okay, you want to try and make it different for each person. There's version 2, version 3, version 4. So use this to your advantage, but don't make it sound like everybody else. Make it unique and different and weave in your own personal experiences. Another thing that you might want to check out is going back to greatcareers.org, applicant. I'll just put in applicant so we know applicant tracking system. Sometimes people call it the applicant trashing system. So here is an article that I had written back in the day, and I'll show you a little bit more about where that is. So I'm going to go to my LinkedIn profile, and let me click off some of these things here, and I'll get to you guys later. Right here is this book. It says author applying to find your fit, a practical guide to landing the job you love. This was published by the ATD, Association of Talent Development, out of the DC area in 2016, October. And there were 16 career coaches that contributed to this book. It's probably in your library. And you've probably heard of the very famous Dick Bowles, who wrote What Color's Your Parachute? So before he passed away in April 2017, he did write the foreword to this book. Well, the basis of that article that I just shared with you in the chat about the applicant tracking system, that was the basis for my chapter 8 in this book. Now, according to one resource that I have, there are, last I checked last week, about 592 applicant tracking systems, according to this one resource. Now, I went to speak at Atlantic City for the past 2 years at SHRM conferences, and a gentleman that I heard speak says, oh no, there's like over 900 and some odd worldwide. And I'm like, whoa, okay, so I'm not necessarily worried about worldwide. I just want to know what's going on in the United States. So let's talk about ChatGPT and resumes and applicant tracking systems. If you have a good, solid base resume and you take that resume and you go file save as ABC company, file save as XYZ company, then you can customize and tailor that resume within 5 minutes by changing out the job title and the keywords. You could also take pains and weave in key phrases if you have the time to wordsmith. Now, when you have a pretty resume with a pop of color for humans, and then you have a what I call a deconstructed black and white resume with no formatting other than solid black bullet points and maybe tabs over to the dates, I create that in Arial 12-point font. You have to keep your resumes in sync. So there's 2 important words that you need to know when it comes to applicant tracking systems. One is upload and the other one is autofill. When you see those words, you don't want to use the pretty blue shaded, or highly formatted resume for humans. You want the plain Jane, boring black and white resume that has no formatting in it. I take bold out, I take italics out and whatnot. But you have to keep that one in sync because once it uploads or autofills, the idea is it goes into a parser and the parser will try to extract the information from your resume into the fields of a database. First name field, last name field, company name, city, state, dates, job title, bullet points, etc. At the end of an online applicant tracking system resume, where you have the upload or autofill, there may be a very good chance that it might say, do you want to attach your resume? So that's where I would attach the pretty resume. But if you're using ChatGPT or some other AI, you have to keep the pretty blue resume and the deconstructed black and white resume in sync. So that's why I'm totally not sold on all these AI auto apply platforms because you don't know what's happening out there. You're not controlling it. It's bots. So I believe in the human factor, but that's me, and I'm going to stick to my guns. So, I think AI has its place in the job search world, but again, you don't want it to take over your whole life, and you don't know where it's going to apply it to. Network to make networking a habit so that you get that human connection involved. Other than that, I want to just show you a couple things on my LinkedIn profile. So right under here is more gobsmacking resources. So this is my link tree, link of links, and I do have to update it a little bit. But here's the nonprofit link. So it's all right there. Here are my upcoming speaking events. Here's my LinkedIn newsletter. Feel free to subscribe. I'm behind about 3 newsletters. I've written this stuff, but I haven't had time to post it on LinkedIn because I've been traveling Chicago, Orlando, Toronto, New York, and now I'm landed. So I will get caught up on those. So I'm going to do a little bit more than one a week now for the next couple of weeks. But here's my publications. I've written over 300 articles. So if you click that link, and you can probably do a search in the Google Doc by keyword, but you can also search by keyword up here in the search bar of the nonprofit. So other than that, please feel free to reach out and connect with me, but make the message personal so I know that you were on here. And then, again, my upcoming speaking events are coming here, which I've also put here. So just so you can see, I'm speaking again next week. I speak a lot for SCORE across the country. So even though it may be an entrepreneurial crowd, believe me, I have job seekers that come because you could still learn tips there. And then there is my October to December so far. And then here is, my connection information. So feel free to reach out and connect. So I think we've got about 13 minutes left. I am ready for questions.
All right. Wonderful, Lynn. That was some fantastic information. Really appreciate you taking the time to share that and provide those demos. That was wonderful. So we definitely have quite a few questions here. Let's see what we can get through in the time we have. This person is asking, is there a preferred AI provider for job searching? Are some better than others? You use ChatGPT a lot during the presentation. You discussed some others out there. But do you have like your top 3 or your top 5 that you recommend?
Yes. I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT. I really value the content that I get from it. Sometimes ChatGPT does have a hiccup, so I would go to Claude.ai. But especially, as a doctoral student, and researcher, I like sources. So Perplexity.ai. There's so many doggone AI platforms out there. I can't really hone in on one without leaving out another.
Yeah.
Every month we have AI speakers at our nonprofit. And I have to tell you, the speaker that I had, I was so blown away by Notebook LM
Hmm.
that I invited him to come back to do a 2-day, well, two day in a row, 1-hour workshop each day, hands on, slow down, so we could all touch and feel step by step. Because, oh my God, that one was like, wow, 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 wow.
Very
We
cool.
also run an immigrant professionals career support group, and we had an AI speaker on Monday. And I have to go back and watch that video because she brought some pretty cool stuff to the table too. So yeah, I would keep your eyes out for Notebook LM, and that's in June 25th and 26th. We're just starting to build the June events on our calendar.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Well, thank you for those examples, and I will keep an eye out for Notebook. That's awesome.
Yep.
Let's see. Our next question here. So this person's asking if you have a prompt already, or maybe you could kind of think of one on the spot to help avoid issues related to ageism or age discrimination.
Okay, here's my take on that. I'm a boomer, and yes, I have my little red, white, and blue card. And I have a lot of clients who are boomers. yes, ageism is alive and well. Ageism and discrimination is alive and well. Do you really want to work for a company if you're not revealing your authentic self? Okay, we're going to have different opinions on this, but you have left a digital footprint out there on the internet. Anybody can, if they really wanted to, they could find out what year you graduated. So I'm going to say embrace the gray hairs or maybe the baldness. Um, just embrace them. And not everybody wants a fresher out of college,
Mhm.
that's going to, um, take an important role. They don't have experience under their belt. So I get a lot of questions about, well, everybody's saying, I'm overqualified. Heck, no, you're not overqualified. You are absolutely qualified. You can help mentor hypos and young folks. You can help with succession planning, and you know your job so well that you could onboard quickly, saving the company oodles of money. You've climbed that corporate ladder, but you're not done yet, and you just want to keep contributing and provide high value. And so, therefore, you're not overqualified. You're absolutely qualified. And besides that, I'm a pretty cool person, and I have a fun factor, right? So you got to sell yourself with those gray hairs if you are worried about ageism and age discrimination. And if you are in tech, you better be showing on your LinkedIn profile all your upskilling and reskilling. Show them that you're a lifelong learner. So, bah humbug to ageism and age discrimination. Embrace it and go with it.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing those insights. Let's see our next question here. So this is a common question that we often hear. You gave the good advice of including numbers, including metrics in your resume, if possible. What if you don't have, those metrics? Are there ways to highlight your successes without them?
You're going to use that prompt that I gave you, and
Mhm.
some way, shape, or form, we're going to pull it out of you. So maybe you don't know your individual contributions and metrics, okay? But you do know that you worked on a team of 8. You do know that you supervised a team of 2. You do know that you worked in a company of 700, or that does 14 billion a year, or that covers 3 continents. You do know that. Those are facts. So just the facts, ma'am. So if you're a nurse, okay, you don't know how many, oh, I probably did approximately 20 patients a day,
Mhm.
or worked in a 260 bed facility.
Mhm.
Facts.
Yeah.
Or approximate.
No, I love that advice because, showing the magnitude of your work is sometimes just as important as showing the successes of your work. So, yeah, absolutely.
I have clients, and I tell them it's a hate love relationship. You will hate working with me, but in the end you will love me, because I'm going to pull all these numbers out of you and make you look like a rock star. It's too tough of a job market right now to not have metrics. You have to differentiate yourself some way and show your impact and how you move mountains at your last job, and be proud of it. And then you guess what? Once we do this, you never ever have to go back and do all the past again. But you do have to keep track of performance metrics for your current job. So I have a young lady in my office right now. She's a high school intern, and she is learning this on the job, as a high school student getting ready to go to Boston College,
Hmm.
that she now has to track all of her metrics, when she goes on any other internships or in her first job. It's really important.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. And also, just keeping that like success tracker as you work, because, if you're trying to think back over the years, it's really hard to come up with them. But if you are consistently, like maybe quarterly or monthly, writing them down, it's much easier for you.
Weekly,
Yeah.
I go with week. And if you want free, you could just like do it in a Google Doc and a Google Sheet or something like that. But there are, trackers that you can do, and purchase, apps to pay for. I think I wrote an article about that. It's in on my LinkedIn profile. But it's really important that you keep up with those metrics, because it is really hard to remember them. But just know that employers can only go back I don't know, 7 to 10 years, depending on the jurisdiction, for background checks.
Mm,
So if somebody comes to your profile that was a coworker and say, "What are you, nutso?" it wasn't that number. Oh, well, do you still have access to that? Oh, thank you so much. I will get that corrected immediately, right? So it doesn't, don't go for perfection, go for excellence and your best guess. What is reasonable? All right. What do you think you did? Over 100, under 100, over 2,000, under 2,000,
yep. No, that's good advice. Okay, Lynn, this next one. So you talked quite a bit about the ATS, shared some good information there, but I think this is worth maybe revisiting because a lot of people have concerns about it. So this person is asking, your thoughts on trying to pass ATS screenings or beat the bots, as sometimes people say. So would you like to kind of share your thoughts around that topic there?
Yeah. That's why I believe in having a good, solid base resume, and you never ever touch the base resume.
Mhm,
You go file, save as,
mhm,
and call it, ABC company, XYZ company, whatever you want. Customize and tailor those ABC, XYZ resumes to the job that you want. But you have to keep your pretty resume for humans and your deconstructed black and white resume for the bots in sync.
mhm.
And you can do that if you kind of color code um, some verbiage so you know what you changed and how you changed it. Um, you know, I guess I talk about teaching people how to play the game and game the game.
Mhm.
And so I actually probably do the Beating the Applicant Tracking System workshop probably every other month.
Hmm.
Um, and you go to greatcareers.org, you'll see, or my upcoming speaking events, you'll probably see when that is coming up. So you can't, one resume does not fit all. It's like there's no Cinderella here. That shoe has to be multi-purpose, and you do have to customize to each job. But it is easy to do at least a little customization from a good solid base resume within 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Take that time to customize and tailor. You can spend more time if you want, but the best way to avoid the applicant tracking system is network.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. No, I fully agree with your base resume strategy. I love that because you're already working with a resume that is, in a general sense, tailored to your types of target roles. And then you could add in that extra customization before you hit submit with the copy that you make.
There's a lot of resume writers. Everybody works differently. I do not do done for yous. I do
Mm,
done with yous,
mm,
because if it does not resonate with you, if you don't help write it, you don't know what that content is in there, and because you got to speak to it in an interview. So, I'm the hand holder, the facilitator, and I'm going to teach you how to do this, that, and the other thing. And because I use Google Docs, it's like transformation before your very eyes. um, you will see that transformation when everything colored turns to black. You're like, oh, are we ready for a Word document? Oh, yeah. So, you really have to be part and parcel of that resume, and it does take a lot of work. It's no joke. I mean,
yeah.
I've had people that have gone nutso in a weekend, and we've played like ping pong on Zoom, you know, Zoom meeting, go do homework, Zoom meeting, go do homework. Um, but I've had other people where it's maybe take a couple weeks. I have people that are employed, it maybe takes a couple months because they got life and families and
Yeah,
jobs and all that around there. But you have to know your resume and the content. It has to be truthful. Numbers have to be real.
absolutely. All right, I think we have time for maybe one more question here, Lynn.
Sure.
This person is asking, and this is another thing you kind of touched on, but we can sort of revisit a little bit here. But situations where you shouldn't use AI in your job search, and when you encounter companies that might have policies on
Mhm.
AI usage, or maybe using some of those tools to detect, excuse me, AI
Yeah.
generated content. So what are your thoughts
Interesting.
on that?
Yes. So when I say about don't do a cover letter and
Mhm.
present your cover letter without having your own format and weaving in the verbiage, like
Yeah.
start with your own sentence, um, as at least a sentence starter, because I run a monthly event called Recruiter on Call with Jobs. And the
Mm,
last recruiter, you'll see it in my LinkedIn Live. Um, if you want to listen to that guy from Seattle, he's like, yeah, like I'm seeing all the cover letters, they're about the same. Now, I read something briefly, just because I've been traveling so much. But I read something briefly. I'm trying to think if it was like Fast Company article or I don't really remember. But apparently, if you have AI content, there's coding in the back end.
mm,
So if you're going to utilize AI, you might want to sort of type fresh from
sure.
scratch so that coding is not built into the back end. It's just like when um, if you have a Word document and you click on that little backwards P thing, you're
Mhm.
going to see the back end of the Word document with the, tabs
Right.
and the all this other stuff. Like I like the back end of my Word documents just as clean and pretty as the front end. So beware of AI coding in the back, um, and type stuff from
Mhm.
scratch,
Yeah.
and use your own brain, use your thought leadership. I mean, we
Right.
can use AI to our advantage, but use your brain.
Yeah. No, I'm fully with you there. Use it to help you, not to replace you.
Yes, but use it so that you can say that you do use it and that you're not, a dinosaur that hasn't touched it yet, because it's a thing. It's not going away.
Yeah. All right. Well, wonderful. And thank you so much for joining us today. This really was some tremendous information that you shared. Really appreciate your time. Thank
All
you
right.
to all of our attendees who took the time to join us. As a reminder, you will get emailed a copy of the recording and some resources that Lynn shared with all of us. So thank you once
All
again,
right.
and we wish everyone good luck with their job search.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yep.
Hopefully, we'll see you in the fall.
Take care, Lynn. Thank you again.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.